Hello, and welcome back to another episode of People Watching with Garrett J. Lawrence. That's me, your host. And we've got a lot of things to talk about. We've got a good show ahead of us. There are plenty of headlines. Plenty of things have happened in the last week. As well as we might kind of taper off the show with some ideas about the future on how we're going to grow the show and whether or not we're going to move to 2 episodes a week or not. But without further ado, I'd like to acknowledge that I had a lot of fun on last week's episode. I loved having my friend Madeline on. Always a good conversation with her. And I'm looking forward to having more people on here in the future. I would like any recommendations of people that I should DM, even or message or email, even regardless of how small the show is right now. It never hurts to try. With that being said, we're going to kind of take a little bit of a look at the headlines right now because, I mean, it was like a matter of hours, and then like it seemed like everything on the news and everything in the public square seemed to catch fire. Number one on everybody's minds right now is the Epstein files. I don't know if it's on everybody's minds. It's definitely not something I'm 100% focused on. It's something that intrigues me, and I'm really curious to see its progression over time. I think I'm really focused lately on the state of America and how we can improve. But with that being said, I'd like to kind of first point out that Trump and a lot of the Republicans referred to the Epstein files as a hoax earlier this year, actually within the last 6 months. And at the same time as saying it's a hoax, Trump is now signing the bill that releases the Epstein files, and this is according to the White House officials. And on top of that, Mike Johnson was calling what once was a hoax in their eyes a national security risk. Obviously, I think that's hilarious. The flip-flop is one of the craziest in a while. I think all of them realized that their political careers were on the line and their people's respect, because I think people would remember in the next election whether or not these people voted yes or no on the Epstein files getting released. I think people would remember that when they go to the polls here in the future. But anyway, silliness with the Epstein files, really. But the vote's gone through. We should be getting some of those files here soon. I don't know exactly, but it moved really quickly. In the last week, it went from kind of a pipe dream with Thomas Massie to then him receiving all of his votes to then move the bill forward to then a near unanimous 427 yeses on the release of the Epstein files, or the bill for the Epstein files. I think it's the Jeffrey Epstein Transparency Act, I think. Or maybe that was something before. Either way, I think it's like the Epstein files bills. Almost a unanimous vote on that, except for one vote, and I'm forgetting the senator's name, or the congressman's name. It doesn't seem like it's super suspicious, but I read his tweet in response to criticism, and what I will say is somebody needs to check his hard drive. But it's not like we need to get into all that right now. On top of that, which we'll get a little bit more detailed here in a second, but on top of that, the government shutdown did end last week after a record-breaking 43 days, which was tied to a funding bill, as well as I personally think they were also dodging the Epstein files crap, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Then the UN approved a Gaza stabilization plan, enacting and trying to establish what's called a board of peace, which we could see this possibly establish a Palestinian state, which would be good for the innocent people that live there that have been detrimentally displaced and really harmed by the Israeli government and its military, which all of those people need justice, and I'm hoping that this board of peace will bring some sort of justice and that we won't just keep having these ceasefire violations. And then on top of that, something that really fires me up and has been firing me a lot lately, I've heard some of my professors bring it up, and it's that the U.S. military is really viewing these major drug cartels coming out of both Mexico, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, viewing them as enemy combatants, or at least armed combatants. which is really awesome. And I'm really glad that that started to happen, because I really do think we need to, stomp that out. They are naming the military operation that kind of takes care of all of these large drug cartels Southern Spear, a name that doesn't sound gay at all. Anyway, I kind of want to get into all the Epstein stuff. We're going to kind of backtrack a little bit and look at the last 6 months or so of history. But it really all started, it all started in 2018, 2019. So this has been going on for a long time. But it kind of got to a very large peak this year. The big thing I think a lot of people were upset about was the fact that Trump ran on the promise. He ran on the promise of releasing the Epstein files, as well as a couple other things he's yet to fulfill. But he ran on the promise of releasing the Epstein files and accountability and draining the swamp. And then this summer, he referred to the Epstein files as a hoax, and he asked reporters why we're still asking about Epstein. And to that I say, and it's not just targeted towards Trump, it's everybody that has blocked the release of these Epstein files for now 6-7 years now. And it's this: stop trying to defend your pedophile, freaking gross billionaire sponsor, all right? The American people have said their piece, and the reckoning has come, okay? These files are going to get released, whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, though, in this bill, somebody wrote it into the bill and snuck it in there. But in this release bill, Pam Bondi has been granted power to redact names and information out of these Epstein files, which, I kind of saw it coming. I was kind of waiting for it, because when we got a unanimous vote on releasing the Epstein files, and nobody kind of went, the switch up happened within a day. The switch up happened literally within 24 hours. It went from it's a hoax to everybody voting yes. And so either they are all on self-destruct mode, and Trump and the Republican Party and people who voted, and the 200 and something Democrats that voted yes on the bill, they are either all self-destruct mode, and they are going to just collapse the entire political system. Personally, I'm for that. I think we should drain the swamp. I think everybody should go to jail. I think we need a full reset on these people and their seats. It's either that, or we're not going to get anything out of the Epstein files, and it's all been either redacted or altered, or we're not even getting the real information. That being said, we got to give praise to a couple people here. First, Representative James Comer from Kentucky. He basically had the House Oversight Committee subpoena the DOJ for the Epstein and Maxwell-related documents, including the death investigation and their 2007 deals, and that was in August. Then we had Senator Ron Wyden from Oregon. He wrote to the Treasury demanding Epstein's financial records, basically trying to trace the money flow, which was awesome. And then, right after all of that, in late August, the DOJ was basically like, we're not releasing any more Epstein files, and they cited privacy, national security, and ongoing investigations, all that crap. But then, obviously, the big thing was Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna collectively getting a bunch of votes from a bunch of individual representatives on top of victims and their advocates, all to basically write Donald Trump and write these congressmen and write these senators and them speak publicly and say, hey, we don't not that they don't care about their identity being shared or anything, or private, information being put out. It's more of the fact that, they're just confirming with everybody that there needs to be some sort of change, and they're ready for it to happen, and they want accountability to happen. And it's a great thing. I just think a lot of people have overlooked that even the victims are trying to push the Epstein files out. And that's just kind of part of the public accountability for the whole thing. So And then yesterday is when the Transparency Act won, 427 to 1. And then Trump, I think it was either today or it was yesterday, basically had a giant switch around. And he flipped on the whole thing, and he tweeted out on Truth Social like he doesn't even care about it. He just wants them to get through this and get back on point and get back with the agenda, and that no matter what happens with the Epstein files, he wants us to remember all the wins we've had. Weird. Anyway, the Senate then cleared the bill with unanimous consent, which is insane and suspicious, really. It's really suspicious because this is one of the most divisive, pieces of political literature ever. And we've seen people try to block it and try to hide it. And then now they just kind of unanimously are like, yeah, we're for the transparency. We're going to push it all out. Again, it's only unclassified documents. So all the juicy, scandalous stuff is probably going to stay hidden. That's when our conspiracy theories can come in, and that's when we're going to have a good old time. But I want to kind of pivot here. Might be a little off topic, but I've been thinking a lot about it, and it's what exactly is the future of New York? And I'm about to go really hard on this. I'm about to make some claims that maybe you can't, you and I could try to have a conversation about, but not that you can't change my mind, but I don't think you can prove me wrong. And so we're going to just hit it on the head and get things rolling here. But I've been thinking about a ground up solution for NYC. And so we start on the ground and then we move up because these top-down solutions haven't been working. And at the top of the list, and I'm going to just go right out the gate so you know how serious I am and how real these changes are, because I feel like if we can figure out how to fix New York City, we can fix the rest of the U.S. And at the top of the list, deport all illegal immigrants. Deport them all. You're here illegally. We're going to leave it black and white. Also, the argument that when you get this provocative, Americans will be deported, legal Americans. That's never actually happened. And I'll give an example of how this works. If the police are looking for somebody who committed a crime and you match some of the characteristics and they come in, they bring you in, they arrest you, and they bring you in. They're like, hey, did you commit this crime? This, and this. You go through the process. And their answer is, and obviously they find out, oh, okay, you didn't commit this crime. They send you back. These deportations, even if they're provocative, even if they come and they take somebody who's a legal American, it is the same process as, again, trying to find somebody who committed a crime. We bring you in. Oops, you're here legally. Okay, bye. They kick you out the door. That is not a violation of your rights. Now, I don't like how provocative that is. I would like it to be a little bit more precision based. Again, though, I think when you're dealing with between 30 to 80 million illegal immigrants in this country, you're dealing with something that is it's bound to, out of 30 to 80 million people, out of that number, you're bound to have a few or more instances where a mistake is made. So, but I think that's going to happen when you try to solve an issue so large. But the alternative is not effective either. Because what's the alternative? You don't deport anybody? But yeah. No illegal immigrants at all. Deport them all. I'm going to support a little bit of this. And some people say that, oh, well, illegal immigrants contribute and pay taxes in America. And I'm going to say that's false. Even if they are paying taxes, which I love that some people's definition of an illegal immigrant paying taxes is they're paying the sales tax on their purchase from Home Depot. Illegals cost the taxpayer 150 to 451 billion every year. 150 to 451 billion dollars every year. That's what they're costing the taxpayer. Taxes paid by illegal aliens are only 17% of the costs they create. And you can check the house.gov to get a little more data on that. Texas, who lets us keep track of all this information, in 1 month, 30,000 visited Texas emergency rooms, and it costed $121 million. In 1 month, 30,000 visits from illegal immigrants to a hospital, and it costed them, and this is just in Texas, $121 million. Then I'm going to kind of rebuke another argument here, and it's that illegals commit fewer crimes than native-born Americans. Obviously, I want to ask, why do you think that? And here's the stats from the City Journal. Illegals are 1.4 to 5.4 times as likely to be incarcerated compared to lawful citizens. Example, in New Jersey, 5.4 times as likely to be incarcerated. 100% of illegals who cross the border illegally committed a misdemeanor. Isn't that funny? When you cross the border illegally, you are committing a crime. It's a misdemeanor. So every single person that has crossed the border illegally has committed a crime. Congratulations. Anyway, you make first contact with our country and you violate our first and one of our most important laws. Here's another claim. Honestly, I got all of these from Steven Crowder's website because he just did a table on deport all illegal immigrants. And so I'm going to give credit to him because all of this is factual. So it's not, you can't like come at this topic with an opinion or empathy. Those things are necessary for change sometimes, not all the time. Same thing with due process. Due process exists for a reason, but due process is not the case for all examples. Here's the claim. Only violent criminals should be deported. And so I say to that, and here's the truth. Should only violence-related laws be enforced in America? So if you run a red light and you get in a car wreck or whatever, you shouldn't be penalized for that? Oh, it's only if you hurt someone on purpose or you try to hit a kid with your car? You shouldn't be penalized at all? Only violent crimes should be enforced? Okay. Yeah, sure. What about fraud? Bernie Madoff, what should be the punishment for breaking the law and coming here illegally? That's my question to you. What should be the punishment? Violent criminal legal should be the priority, but the law must be enforced equally. Therefore, any illegal found in the course of tracking down violent legal criminals must also be deported. Then, again, back to what I was saying earlier about ICE deporting legal American citizens. This one gets me riled up. It's legally impossible to deport the American citizen. No adult citizen has been deported. So that's just, I'm going to put it to bed. I don't need any sort of, I don't need to get into the nitty-gritty facts. It's impossible. It's legally impossible to deport an American citizen. And there's been no record of so. The next one is that ICE is splitting up families. First off, no U.S. citizen minors are accompanying their deported illegal parents when they get deported. Conversely, Joe Biden lost track of 300,000 unaccompanied minors. None of you said anything. None of you said anything during his administration when they lost track of 300,000 minors. None of you bring that up. None of you talk about that. Meanwhile, we're sitting here and none of these U.S. citizen minors are accompanying these illegal immigrant parents. Then some of you want to claim that you agree with some sort of enforcement on illegal immigrants. And then you like to twist it and you say, but the way we're doing it is wrong, and that ICE raids are violent and apprehending them isn't the right way. So my question would be, what way would be more humane or less provocative or preferable? And the truth is that illegal immigrants can get paid for flight to their country of origin as well of $1,000 to self-deport through CBP One app. That's through the DHS. So there are less provocative ways, and we are trying them out. But why aren't you going? Why aren't you going to go? You're going to resist? We've given you the easy way out. It's like a parent, you know. You tell your kid nicely 1, 2, 3 times. Now I'm raising my voice. Anyway, immigrants aren't getting due process. Another claim. What due process are they not receiving? Has any deported person proven that they rightfully were a citizen? Oh, there's one? Illegals are getting all the process they are due, which is to be sent home. Thank you. Deportation is not a criminal penalty, and it does not require a criminal trial, therefore, not subject to criminal due process. Do you understand that? Okay. Sending someone home is simply correcting an error. Understand that. The Constitution grants the right to due process to all people within the United States. Again, different issues have different due processes or different responses. The only process due to a person here illegally is to be sent back to their home country. Getting caught is not an opportunity to raise all sorts of issues, like I need asylum, and have a long drawn-out trial. Prove you're here legally or be deported. That's it. Straightforward. A visa or a green card are privileges. Therefore, the process due to revoking them is very low. Again, privilege. Don't assume the highest level of due process applies like in a criminal trial. Here's another claim. The U.S. economy needs immigrants. Again, what about that $140 to $415 billion they're costing us a year? The U.S. economy needs immigrants. Why? There are 7.4 unemployed Americans able to work who need jobs first. Again, this is why I was mad when Trump said that he didn't want to cut the H-1B program out 100% because we have no talent. Those are his words. We do. There are there's underemployment for graduates is up by 9.3%, I believe. Unemployment as a whole for new graduate is like 4.3%. That is 4.3% more than it should be. Here's another claim. Migrants do the jobs that Americans won't. Wow, isn't that racist? Americans will do any job for a fair wage and good working conditions, which this system often undercuts. It's exploitation, not preference. And that's why undocumented workers are hired for lower wages and poor labor standards. It's honestly racist and hypocritical for somebody to say that the migrants will work the harder jobs. So you're basically saying that the migrant is going to work the harder job and get paid less than an American. And you're fine with that? Anyway, there are... Let's see. And then in June 2025, ICE raided a food plant in Nebraska. This is from NBC. There was 100 people working there illegally. 2 days later, every seat in the waiting area was filled with people filling out applications, including Spanish-speaking persons. Here's another claim. Deportations are too expensive. Illegals cost Americans $150 to $451 billion a year. The average cost to deport an illegal is $17,000 per DHS. So even if we spent $340 billion deporting 20 million illegals, it would still be more cost effective than keeping them here. And then one of the second to last claims here is that it's not possible to deport all illegals. Is it possible to stop all murders? Is it possible to stop all theft? How about all identity fraud? It's incumbent on the government to try. But Reagan did amnesty. Reagan's amnesty was a total failure. Legalized 3 million illegals. And since 1986 amnesty bill, illegals living in the U.S. increased by 481%. 60 years, increased by 481%. 481%. I'm done with that topic. So that's why when I go back and I say deport all illegals, that's why. Hard on crime. You commit a crime, you go straight to jail. New York is the perfect place to try this out. I think there are exceptions that include, things like a speeding ticket and running a red light, so on and so forth. But the list of apprehensions should continue to grow. I don't want to see another headline about somebody with 40 releases getting sent back out on the streets again just to rape another girl. Is that understood? Okay, great. Reinforce the police and ICE. Patrol the streets more often. It worked in D.C. I was up in D.C. recently, and you've got, the National Guard, boots on the ground, really quiet. It's really nice. Charlotte, NC just did that with ICE, and traffic slowed down. Seats in schools emptied for some reason. Gas got cheaper. Suddenly things went back to normal. Before we had an increase by 481% in illegal immigrants who aren't contributing at all in taxes, enough to offset what they cost us. Furthermore, the difference between 24 hours without ICE and 24 hours with ICE is incredible. There's an amazing video from Joe Sweeney, this great guy on Instagram, and he's walking down the street, mind you, like a day apart. One day, the street is clear and it's ICE, boots on the ground. And the next day is panhandling and selling of fake goods and trying to sell a child marijuana and cigarettes, and then getting threatened to get stabbed by a knife. Do you want to walk your toddler through that? Are you okay with that? You want to go soft on crime, and you want to have a community confrontation group come in and say, hey, put the knife down. Put the knife down. It's okay. Where is this coming from? Listen, we understand you set the lady on fire, but we want to know why you did that. Where is this coming from? We're here. We're gonna forgive you. Where is this coming from? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with walking your toddler through that every day in New York City? And not just in New York City, it will be everywhere in the U.S. The barbarians are already inside, girl. And you got to act now. You got to crush the opposition now. You got to crush them. There should be no mercy. Deport them all. Arrest them all. This sounds insane, but this is what a country that cares about its people will do. It will put Americans and America first. No pun intended. It's literally the one goal every Democrat, every Republican should have. When they're going into legislation, they're going to write something, they're going to sign something, they're going to fund something. They should ask the question, is it putting Americans first? And the Americans they should be thinking about is the innocent mothers and children who have to walk through the street when there are illegal criminals crawling all over the place who have raped and attacked and stabbed people and been released 40 times. And there are people on the opposition who don't care. And there are people on the opposition who don't want them sent home. And there are people on the opposition who say it's fine and we need to be softer on crime. Remember that. Remember that when we win. Remember that when we win these elections. Remember that when the Republican Party gets back on track. Remember the people who want you dead and will laugh at it. Remember it. Furthermore, a lot of all of this stems from a spiritual problem. Don't mean to pivot so hard, but it's true. A lot of this is stemming from a complete spiritual and social deprivation. We have allowed humanism to come and invade America, and a lot of us see that it didn't work, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work when we live by our own rules. It doesn't work. When has it ever been successful? You can't give me an example. Thank you. We need to reinforce the community with better rehab options, youth ministry, fund some, give churches a better chance in New York. I want to people there, and if you're a believer in New York and you want to get involved, go read scripture on the side of the street. I wish I could. There's nothing more I want. If I could drop all of this and I could just go read scripture and preach on a corner in New York City, even if there's a guy that's threatening to stab me, I would do it in a heartbeat. I've got dreams about that stuff. I'm coming for New York City. I am. That's my goal. That's my goal with this show. That's my goal with anything else. I'm coming for New York City. And I'm going to start on the ground up. We're going from the ground up, and we're going to change it. But it starts with the believer, and it starts with being aggressive and active and praying actively and getting involved actively. Jesus can solve crimes. Jesus can change minds. Jesus can help you get out of that gross mindset. Jesus can uplift you from your sin. Jesus, we take that mentality, we take his character, and we try to live like him and walk like him. Jamie Winship talks about this. We can do anything. People think that Jesus doesn't exist in politics or he doesn't exist in crime. He does, okay, with our character. But that doesn't mean we let people walk all over us and harm us and allow evil in, because that's not Christ-like. Again, like I was saying, I want to encourage Christians and believers to go out, preach, talk to people, get involved in your church. Get involved, serve. Parentless kids need church, okay? There is a direct relationship between fatherless children and crime. Statistically, fatherless children will commit more crime than fathered. Those kids need, and we see a lot of those kids in New York City, those kids need community, and those kids need youth ministry. They need leaders. They need men in their lives. Teachers aren't doing the job. They're not supposed to. Again, pushing rehab centers, reinforce them with the church. And when it comes to the community, Christ will always, always be the most successful option. Again, my target slowly over time is becoming New York City. I'm going to get involved somehow because I really do think if we can fix New York City, we can fix anything. You kidding me? If we can radicalize and change the minds of everybody in the largest capital in the world. I mean, think about it. There are people in extremist Islamic countries who have dreams of Jesus. And they have come and they've searched for him and they've found him. Why can't we pray for that kind of revival in New York City? Why are we so negligent to do that? Why don't we want to try to make New York City and I'm talking to all Christians. Why don't we want to make New York City the model city for Christianity? Not just Christianity, but Jesus. Like that's what the city needs. It's a spiritual problem, right? And I would even back up off of what I said about even deporting illegal immigrants. And I would even say we got to pray for those people, that they will willingly go home and so that we can hope they can come here legally. And I will say the biggest ministering opportunity we have as Christians today is the 481% increase in immigration, illegal immigration. That is our biggest opportunity to minister and share the gospel, and we got to use it. We got to use it and simultaneously prevent crime and enforce the law where it is needed. And New York needs it bad, and they need a revival bad. They need smart people, and they need brave people, confident people to go out, just talk to somebody. Instead of getting on your phone for 10 minutes, go on a 10-minute walk. If you bump into somebody, talk to them. Whether it's your neighbor or somebody you've never met before, you might make a new friend. You might get to learn their story. You might broaden your worldview a little bit. Too many of us are scared to go out and do that. That I have a big problem with. There are several universities in the U.S. who are Christian universities. They're private schools, and they have a giant footprint on the city. And their cities are not the model city for Christianity. Their students are so focused on the community they have within their university that they're afraid to branch out. Because what's funny is that's where the rest of their life is going to be spent. That 4 years on campus, it's going to equip you, but you also need to be equipped to go out a little bit. You know what I mean? And even at that, God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. And we're all called. You got to go out and you got to do something about it. Pray for people. Get involved in your church. Serve. Be loud. Be brave. Get involved in politics. It is our job as Christians to be involved in politics. I vehemently disagree with anybody that says otherwise. And I also disagree with anybody that says that you need to vote conservative if you're a Christian or you need to vote Democrat if you're a Christian. That's not what it's about. You're missing the point. We're above that, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be among it. Again, we're not of the world, right? We're in it, but not of it, but we need to participate because that is our greatest ministering opportunity. That's all I got for you. A little bit shorter of an episode compared to last, but that's my charge. Get out there, get involved, and New York City, I'm coming for you. Peace.